Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to lesson 15-3. In this lesson, we're going to start measuring with unit angles. Let's go ahead and watch our short video lesson, and then we're going to jump into our notes and guided practice together.
How can you measure angles? Think about this question during the lesson. Holly traced around a trapezoid pattern block. She wants to find the measure of the angle formed that is shown here. What can Holly use to measure the angle? What type of angle is Holly measuring? How do you know? It is an acute angle because it is less open than a right angle. Use an angle you know to find the measure of another angle. The smaller angle of the tan pattern block measures 30 degrees. How do you know this is a 30-degree angle? 3 of the smaller angles on the tan pattern block fill a right angle, and 3 times 30 degrees equals 90 degrees. A 30-degree angle turns through 30 one-degree angles.
The measure of a unit angle is 1 degree.
The angle of the trapezoid pattern block is equal to 2 of the smaller angles of the tan pattern block. Each smaller angle is 30 degrees. What is the measure of the trapezoid angle?
Select your answer.
Okay, now that we know that the small angle is 30 degrees, and we have 2 of them here to fill up that space, so that means we're going to do 30 plus 30, which is going to give us a 60-degree angle.
The measure of the trapezoid angle is 60 degrees. A 60-degree angle turns through 60 one-degree angles. Now you know how you can measure angles.
All right, now that we've completed our short video lesson, we're going to jump into our notes and our guided practice. Now, I have here with our notes some pattern blocks. So these are things that you guys have seen in the classroom, or maybe you have some at home. Use them for building and making really cool designs. But pattern blocks, just like we talked about protractors briefly before, are a tool that we can use to help us figure out angle measures, because each one of them, because these are regular shapes, which means they have equal length parts for the ones that are like hexagons and squares and triangles, and our rhombus over here, and also our other rhombus, and our trapezoid has our 2 parallel lines and our 2 lines that will intersect. Now, each one of these shapes has a particular measurement for each of the angles. So if I take off this one, I can show you guys that the measure of each angle on a hexagon pattern block is going to be 120 degrees. On a trapezoid, since the trapezoid also over here is going to be half of one of these, remember, those top parts are going to be 120 degrees. And since these angles over here are cut in half, those are going to be half of 120 degrees. So these are going to be 60 degrees. Our thicker trapezoid, this one, is 120 degrees on the sides and then 60 degrees on the narrower sides. So the opposite angles match. Our square we know is 90 degrees all the way around. This is a small rhombus that we talked about. The small angle is 30 degrees. The big angle is 150 degrees. Then we have our equilateral triangle over here, where each angle is equal to 60 degrees. So I need to scoot these aside for the moment. And we're going to take a look at our first example. It says, using the rhombus pattern block, what is the measure of the angle below? Now, either we could use 2 of these, of our thicker rhombus pattern blocks to find the angle. And we know each one of these small angles over here is 60 degrees. So that would be 60 plus 60 is 120. Or I could use my thinner rhombuses and line these guys up. And I can see that it took me 4 of these to fill that angle. And we know each one of these is 30 degrees. So 30, 60, 90, 120. Now, if you know these are 30 degrees, that means 2 of these will make one of these over here. So 2 of these 30-degree angles will cover the same angle over here on the green rhombus. So this is just a lot of adding. This is all we're doing so far. We're going to line up our pattern blocks and add as much as we need to. So over here, we know that the measure of angle ABC was 120 degrees. So each one of those thinner rhombuses was 30 degrees. We needed 4 of them. So 30 times 4 gave us 120. Now for the next example, it says using a square and a triangle pattern block, find the measure of angle DEF. So you'd put a square and a triangle, because those are the pattern blocks they told us to use. So you would line those up in there, and those fill the angle from one edge to the other edge. Now we know the triangles over here, we said, are 60 degrees on each side, and squares are 90 degrees on each side. So we're going to add 60 plus 90. So to find the measure of angle DEF, we're going to add 90 plus 60 degrees, which gave us 150 degrees. Okay, let's take a look at another example here. Now it says use pattern blocks to find the angle measure. So you can try out a couple different pattern blocks. Now this I know is too much. It's more than the angle that I have. This one is not enough, but maybe I can use more than one. So if I use 2 of these, that would definitely be enough. Or if I use one of my thicker rhombuses, that one is also enough. And we know these are going to be 60 degrees on each side. These little blue ones are 30 degrees on the small measures, and we needed 2 of them. So 30 plus 30 is 60. So we used the thicker trapezoid to find the angle XYZ, and we figured out that's 60 degrees. Or we could have used 2 of the thinner trapezoids and found out that the angle is also still 60 degrees. Next, let's take a look at angle QRS. So here we can see this is an obtuse angle. It's open more than 90 degrees, more than a square angle. So what I can do is I can take pattern blocks and I can start adding these in and lining them up and seeing if they fit into the space for that angle. Now, if they completely fill that space, I know that's going to be that angle measure. So this is 60 plus, and this is 60. So that's going to be 120 together. I could have also done a square pattern block and one of my thin trapezoids. And that would have also filled it up. This is 90 plus 30 is also equal to 120. Now, what other pattern block do we know has angles of 120? We know we can take the trapezoid, and if we put that, you can see that that lines up perfectly. That we know is 120 on these wide angles. And those wide angles are the same angle that you find on your hexagon. So this also fills up that space, is also 120 degrees. Now let's take a look at our guided practice. It says how many 30-degree angles are in 180 degrees or in a straight angle? Explain. So to find how many 30 degrees angles there are in 180 degrees, you can either divide 180 divided by 30, which is going to give you 6. Or you could take some of these pattern blocks and start lining them up and then count how many it takes for you to make it all the way around. Okay, so here we can see to make that full line, and straighten these out a bit. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So you could either do it by dividing, or you could use it by multiplying, doing the inverse. 30 times what equals 180, or you could use the pattern blocks where you know the measurement. Number 2, how many 15-degree angles are there in 180? Use your answer from number 1 to help you find the answer or to explain. Okay, so I'm going to stop and think. I know that there are 2 groups of 15 and 30, because 15 times 2 is 30. So if there's 6 groups of 30 in 180, then I need twice as many groups to figure out how many groups of 15 there are. So there are 15 times 2 is 30. So I know that there are going to be 30 groups. Sorry, there's going 180 divided by 30 told me there were 6 groups. I need to take that 6 and double it. I need twice as many groups to figure out how many are the 15-degree angles. So there are 6 groups of 30 degrees in 180 degrees. And I need twice as many as that to figure out how many there are 15 degrees in 180 degrees. So I need to double my 6. 6 times 2 is going to give me 12. So 180 divided by 15 is 12. And we could do the inverse. 12 times 15 equals 180. For numbers 3 and 4, it says use angles you know to find the measure of each. So here we can see this one is half of a square angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 90 degrees and we're going to divide it by 2. And we know this one is going to measure 45 degrees. Now this one over here is a square angle plus another half of another square angle. So we're going to take that 90 plus 45, because remember, we figured out that half of 90 is 45. 90 plus 45 will give us 135 degrees for this angle. That's it for this lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have an amazing day. Take care. Bye-bye.